We interrupt your regularly scheduled programming to bring you some breaking news. There's been reports all over the area of something crazy going on, something big. People's homes, their minds even, are being taken over by something called, what is it they're calling it? They're calling it Bad Movie Debate.
What up, nerds? It's me, Jacob Bad from Bad Movie Debate, here to do a quick little review about Presence, the new Steven Soderbergh horror movie, drama movie, thriller movie. I don't know. It's billed as a horror movie. I'd say it's more of an intense drama, but you know, that's neither here or there at this point. We'll get into it. Spoilers ahead for sure. But first and foremost, as always, as I will always try to do at least, 88% on Rotten Tomatoes, certified fresh, loved it. 53% on the popcorn meter. Audience is not so much, which is fair, I think. 6.7 on IMDb, so mid, as always, on IMDb. 77% Metacritic, and 6.7 for their users over there. Yeah, so critics really seem to like it. Audience is not as much, and I can understand why to an extent. I just think that... Well, we'll get into all that. First and foremost, the cinematography, the POV shots of the ghost, like walking around and like going up the stairs and down the stairs, and the way it swings around as the ghost like gets back into the closet to like hide, even though no one can actually see it, are remarkable. They're really, really good. There's no arguing that. There's absolutely no doubt about that. And I think I had seen that Steven Soderbergh actually like operated the camera himself so he could get the exact like feel and everything that he wanted, while, you know, being this first person, like looking through the eyes of this presence, as it were. And absolutely nailed that. There's no argument about that. You just can't argue it at all. You can't say anything bad about it. So, like, I don't want to use the expression an achievement of filmmaking. It is highly impressive. The coordination between Soderbergh as the director and camera operator and all of the actors and the crew and everything, like, working together to get these scenes, which some of them are decently long, and have a decent amount of camera movement as the ghost is doing this and that and the other. So like, and you know, that has to be all one take and everything, and that's always pretty impressive in my mind. I love that kind of stuff. I think it really works, and I think it just really shows how good your acting, your actors, your direction, your camera people, your crew, all the way down to the PAs. Like, you all have to be in sync, and like, I think that's just a really cool thing to see when it's pulled off well. And I think this did a good job of doing that, and it got the results that it wanted. So kudos to everybody on that set, Soderbergh down to, again, whatever PAs are out there. Shout out PAs. Movies can't be made without you. But yeah, I don't know, man. I didn't love it. I didn't hate it. I think part of it is the marketing around that it's a horror movie. Now, don't get me wrong, they didn't do the long legs thing like a lot of horror movies do, which I love long legs. Don't get me wrong. Don't come for me on that. But long legs included, there's a lot of horror movies that have been marketing themselves as like the scariest movie ever, like the new scariest, and like every movie's the new horror movie's the new scariest movie ever. And like, that brings a little bit of a disappointment, because like, while I loved long legs, it was more intense and uncomfortable than it was like horrifying, if that makes sense. But me and Jonathan, who's been like, we have a whole episode talking about long legs and the ups and downs of that. But that's to say, this movie marketed it itself as a horror movie. It didn't say it's the scariest movie ever or anything like that, so that's good in my mind. But I didn't find it scary in the traditional sense of like what a horror movie would, you know, like you would think a horror movie would do, right? Like, it was horrifying things happen. Absolutely. There's no doubt about that. The end of the movie, like the climax of the movie, is pretty intense and is going to make a lot of people pretty uncomfortable. It's it's SA. Like there's some, it's very close to that, if not full blown that. It's not good in that regard. Like it's a so trigger warning for that. If you haven't heard, that is in there during the climax, and so just be prepared. But regardless, the story itself just wasn't that interesting or too different from other type of movies. You know what I mean? The most interesting thing about it is that it's a ghost perspective, and they're our main character. They're the person we're seeing everything like from. Like we only know what the ghost knows, the presence knows. Again, which is cool. But the story is more or less, again, massive spoilers. If you haven't seen it, so sorry, but it's the only way I can talk about it. This family moves into a new house where this ghost is, and you get little nuggets of information. Like apparently the son was he obviously is a real piece of shit. You can see that like throughout the movie until the end. He does one thing good, even if it kind of doesn't work out, but regardless. Son's a piece of shit. He did some kind of shit at his other school, got in trouble in some kind of big way. And Lucy Liu, who's incredible in this movie because she made me hate her, which is shocking because Lucy Liu is amazing and I always love her. I did not love her in this movie, or her character rather. I love her, hated her character, which means she was great. Again, all the acting was great, so like, yeah, you got to be a great actor at this point to like do anything, honestly, and have people talk about it at length. But and she's trying to like keep the son safe, so they move so he can go to a different school. The daughter has had 2 friends OD that she knew, or like people she knew OD, and so she's having a really hard time. And the dad is trying to balance his wife, Lucy Liu, trying to do some sort of like, she's doing some kind of weird shady shit that we never really get full answers on, which normally not getting full answers on something like that would really bother the hell out of me. But again, we only know what the ghost knows, and the ghost doesn't hear every single conversation, or the conversations it does hear they don't explicitly say what they're doing or like what she's doing, and he's trying to like kind of help her navigate through where he can at least not go down for it. If not, both of them can come out scot-free. And so that's fine that we don't get those answers in that. And the dad he's trying to make his daughter happy, make his son less of a dick, and make his wife, and like keep his wife from going to prison, it sounds like. Again, don't know what's going on with that, but again, that's not really the point. The son meets a guy at school he becomes friends with, who's like super popular or whatever, and him and the daughter start doing their thing, wink wink, behind everybody's back. Obviously she's not gonna tell her fucking parents about it probably, but behind her brother's back, like they don't know and stuff, and they start like doing drugs together, and like at that point you're like, okay, so it seems kind of obvious what's gonna happen, right? Like I feel like I don't even have to say it, but I'm going to. The friend, I'm super bad with names in movies I've only seen one time, so apologies. But the friend, he's trying to make these girls, like he's the one going around killing these girls by drugging them, taking advantage of them, and then people just write it off as like an OD kind of a thing. So he's like a budding serial killer, like a teenage serial killer kind of a thing, which is, I don't know. It's just like, that story was very obvious, but it is interesting to see the ghost come in, and it is interesting to see the ghost come in and be the one to see this. Like the ghost stops the like ODing a couple times. Like he puts some OJ, or he puts some drugs in that, like fentanyl in I think it was fentanyl. Whatever. He puts that in some OJ and swirls it up and puts it on the nightstand, and the ghost like shakes the nightstand so it falls over and spills, so it doesn't happen. And then at the end, He drugs the brother to knock him out, not to kill him, but to just knock him out to get him out of the way, so he can go kill OD the other girl, like the daughter, and do all that fucked up shit. And the ghost comes and is able to like wake the brother up so he can go up there and save him, or save her rather. And so like it's cool in that regard. And there's a lot of things you can discuss about belief, like the daughter obviously she thinks it's her best, because it was one of the girls who died was one of her, if not her best friend. And so she's obviously super not well because of everything like that, but she feels like the presence is her friend. And her dad doesn't, like, her mom and her brother are like, you're a moron, this is stupid, we don't believe you. Even after they do see stuff happen, they're like all this crazy shit happens in the brother's room because he's telling a story about he is bullying the shit out of this girl at school for no reason, which is insane. And the mom's just eating it up. It's very weird, honestly, how much the mom is into the son, and the dad's just like, I kind of fucking hate all of you except for my daughter, which is, yeah. But they all four see some shit happen and discuss it, but then they go right back to being like, nah, fuck this, fuck that. They bring in a medium. She says some shit, and the mom and the brother are like, fuck this, fuck that. But the dad and the daughter, they, like, she believes fully, he believes her, because they've seen some stuff. He's into the medium thing. He grew up in a really religious household. He said he had shunted it off, but now he kind of understands belief a little bit more, and like stuff like that. And so there's elements of that in there, and like the difference between like belief and non-belief, and like becoming a believer and stuff. Like the daughter's a full-blown believer. The son never quite makes it there, because to save his sister, he grabs the friend and they fall out of the second story window and they die. They both die, and like when they hit the ground. And so Lucy Liu ends up becoming a believer, because she, at the end, we're seeing the ghost thing, but then she looks in the old mirror and she sees her son's reflection, and like that's who the POV is now. So it's like, so now he's haunting the house instead of the other one, or maybe they both are. Like, again, there's not a lot of answers, but that's fine. But she has a mental breakdown, freaking out, saying she sees him and stuff, and so like she kind of gets it. So I don't really know exactly what. Again, this is listed like on AMC. It's listed as an artisan film, which usually means they're a little more uppity, elevated, if you want to use that word, for whatever reason. And so usually that means there's stuff you can dig out of it, like look at deeper and stuff. And like I just don't really think I got anything out of it deeper. I probably need to watch it again to get like more of a sense of like what the deeper thing that is going on is, because there's definitely something there. And I feel like it has to do, again, like I said, like is a belief, religious kind of thing going on. And like the two factions of like mom and son and dad and daughter, and like first group doesn't believe, those two do believe, kind of a thing. And I just don't. So I mean, there's that, and because you got the whole medium thing, and she does her thing, and he like gives them some money for their time, and the mom gets all mad, being like, that's complete horseshit and everything. And then the whole thing with the mom and her criminal activity. She's clearly doing something criminal. Again, don't get any solid answers on that, but it is what it is. It's not the point of the movie, so I get why we don't really like fuck with it. But regardless, I do just think it's interesting, like that whole thing is kind of going on, because it didn't really change anything except for I mean, I guess you could say it like it shows that the mom will do anything, will work hard for anything she cares about, but she doesn't seem to care about her daughter. She cares about doing these crimes, she cares about making her son cool, but she like doesn't really fuck with the daughter and thinks she needs to just get over it, and like let time will pass and everything will be fine and stuff, while the dad's like, we have to talk to her, we have to make sure she's okay, we have to like get her help and like do whatever we can and stuff. So I don't know. See, like that just feels like a digression from what I was trying to say. Like I have no idea what I feel like this could be on a deeper level, but there's something there. I just haven't personally figured it out yet. But I'm not gonna go see this movie again in theaters probably, which is unfortunate. Um, I don't know. Maybe if I go see it again and I can pinpoint what that is, or if somebody could tell me what they got from it, because like I didn't read anything that said, oh, it's this or that. I try not to do that before I do this. I'll read something after, and maybe it'll change my perspective. But I like to do my reviews just coming from me and get what I can out of them. I'll read a little bit of stuff about how the movie was made or something. Like I said, I saw that Steven Soderbergh like did the camera operation, which is amazing again. Um, yeah, I don't know. I just didn't really get a whole lot out of it on a deeper level, even though I know something has, again, artisan film, according to AMC, so something has to be there that I'm just not seeing. And maybe, after this I'll like read some reviews and maybe that'll change my mind. But, I mean, by that point it'll be too late because I'll have already put this out. But I don't want to spew anything that somebody else has already said as if it was my own. So, because that's just not cool. Yeah, I don't know. I'm going to give it a... I'm probably going to give it like a 6.5 out of 7 because the camera work and just like all of the like technical filmmaking stuff is incredible. It's an achievement of film if you want to say it like that. I don't know if I want to, like I said, but I think it's definitely worth watching because it is really, really well made. The story was pretty obvious. It's a story we've seen before. It's a story we've read before. Like it's just a done story just from a different perspective. And like that's, while cool, I still wanted some more like twists and turns and stuff like that. As far as it being a horror movie, no, not really. I mean, what the friend is doing is horrific and absolutely terrifying and really fucked up. Don't get me wrong. But even in those moments, technically speaking, filmmaking wise, like they're disturbing, but the entire rest of the movie just didn't feel like a horror movie. Again, a very intense drama that I think is very well done and worth a watch. But I think a little bit of my disappointment comes from I was like, oh yeah, it's going to be like scary and like creepy and stuff. And it wasn't that. Which again, there's nothing wrong with that. Like Parasite, like I don't think that's a horror movie. I think that's just a really heavy drama, like thriller or something. Like this is a bit of a thriller in some senses and stuff, but like I feel like it's more of like a almost like a gothic kind of drama because like the ghost is like is a character and like we don't know anything about her really, but like her, I mean, we kind of figure out that it's probably a woman, but like she obviously has agenda and stuff like that. She's not just there to horrify and scare and like anything like that. Like there's an agenda and some thoughts and opinions. Like she loves the daughter, wants to keep her safe. She hates the fucking son because he's a dick and everything. So I mean, like, there's a little bit of that in there, which I love and I think is great. But I just think that the way it was like advertised as like a horror movie and stuff kind of messed with my brain, so I didn't really go in with the right mindset, I guess is the best way to say it. So yeah, 6.5. There's a deeper meaning. I haven't figured it out yet without reading somebody else's thoughts on it, which I don't want to do right now. I like to figure it out myself and then share and then read and see what other people are thinking. But I don't know on this one. So yeah, let me know what y'all think. Follow everywhere you heard this, so I guess you're already following, but follow on Instagram and TikTok and all that good stuff too. Peace.